Every society must understand how the excreta it produces is managed. It teaches us something about the waste, it teaches us something about water, the technologies to clean, the economics, and not just that, the politics of who has access to sanitation. Hello, everyone. I'm Sukanya Nair. Welcome back to a brand new episode of CSE's live chat. I have with me today Sumita and Faraz from CSE's water program. Thank you so much for joining us today. So today we are going to discuss about reusing treated water to manage India's urban water crisis. Sumita, I'll start with you. Why can you tell us a little bit about why do you think what is the need for reusing treated water?
Thank you, Sukanya. Thanks, first of all, for inviting us for this important discussion. India, as you know, is amongst one of the most water-stressed countries in the world. It's ranked 13th in the list as the most stressed nation in the world. And between 1951 and 2024, if we see, it has, there has been a decline of 73% in the water availability in the country. So that's how the statistics also define the reuse priority. At the same time, climate change is also impacting the hydrological cycle, and which means now we have very few days of rainy water rains, and ultimately it is leading to the condition when there is at one side there is a drought, but on another side we are also having the flood situation. So that's how the whole hydrological cycle is also disbalanced. And due to all these conditions, you see there is a severe imbalance between the supply and demand gap also. Now the cities are facing a problem where there are the rivers are polluted, there is a less availability of the surface water, and ultimately they have to be dependent upon the groundwater, and due to which the aquifers are depleting, water table is depleting, and this is ultimately leading to a situation that what needs to be done now to bridge bridge the gap of supply and demand. What needs to be done? So we also see the examples of the cities who are dependent upon the water which is coming from the far and far distances. Take an example of Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, who are heavily dependent upon the pipe water supply coming from the very, very far away places. And ultimately, it is leading to a situation which is more expensive. Water is getting more expensive, unequitable, and it is non-sustainable, right? So in that case, now the question arises: what is the solution for all these problems? And the solution lies that if we go towards 3 R's, 3 R's means reduce, reuse, and recycle. Then probably we can, get a hold of the situation. Reduce means if we use the water efficiently and conserve it, definitely we are in a better position. And reduce and then recycle, and that's how we reuse and recycle. So that's how this whole topic of reusing of treated water becomes more important. And it not only serves the not only augments the water supply, but also reduces the environmental impacts of degrading the or disposing the untreated water into the water bodies. So it becomes important in that way. It also helps or aligns very closely to the UN's agenda 2030 agenda, wherein it emphasizes the interconnectedness of environmental, social, and economic sustainable growth also. So that's how it also complements the circular economy. And it becomes very much important to think about it and talk about this important, issue of reusing the treated water.
So, Sumita, recently you guys came up with a new report called Waste to Worth. Congratulations on that. Can you tell us what were the major findings from the report? The report is called Waste to Worth, and it was on managing reusing urban wastewater, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yes, it is very, very timely publication when we all are talking about the reusing the wastewater, and when all the government missions programs are also aligned with that. And CSE has been working in this direction since long, and we are working on decentralized wastewater management and reuse, and this is a step towards the direction itself. And so this Waste to Worth itself is a very good publication which talks about the fundamental shift in policy and practice from the linear economy. Means if we are not using the wastewater and just disposing it off to a circular economy, and where the water is reused and recycled in a sustainable loop. So that's how it talks about. And report is actually a call to action report, because it comprehensively analyzes the case studies of approximately 35 case studies are there, which has been compiled from 16 cities and from 7 states. Okay. So it has a very, very, huge compendium of the case studies. And it also examines, not only in terms of case studies, but also examines the policies, programs, on ground realities, and also provides a valuable insights at why the city should think of reusing the treated water, because there's a supply and demand gap. It talks about the integrated water management, in terms of integrated water management. So that's how it becomes more important. And we have the examples wherein, like, we have the examples in this book where there has been the good practices, like in Bangalore and Gurgaon, and there has been the practices only in the agriculture, or there has been the cases where we have seen the reuse of treated water only in the industrial sector also. So there are multiple case studies talking about different aspects of the reuse of treated water. And this also provides a very, very good, robust, framework for the policymakers and practitioners who really want to, adapt the reuse measures in the city or at the state level. It is a very good publication towards it. It also talks about that the prioritization of the reuse of treated water, where it should be done, is very important in terms of equity and justice. And it should be also taken into consideration when the cities or the states are, stepping towards the reuse of treated water. So in that way, yes, it is very much important and very timely publication.
Can you share an example from the report, like a good practice that we can see across India or a particular state or a district?
Yeah, so there are many examples wherein there's a holistic approach of reusing of treated water in all the sectors. But of course, there are also examples where the reuse is still limited to only one sector. So it depends upon, the kind of economics. But yes, we have very good example from the Haryana, especially from Gurgaon, where there the reuse is happening in, the plan is made in a way that the reuse is happening in almost all the sectors, like even in the construction industry, even agriculture, lake rejuvenation, industries, textile industry. So the plan is very, very robust and being implemented on ground. So those are the example. Another example, if I take, is from Bangalore. That is also very good example, because in Bangalore, even the managed aquifer recharge is something which is very exemplary. Besides it, the reuse of treated water in the agriculture by using, not only in the city but nearby rural areas which are drought prone areas is a good example. And besides it, we are also having example from Chennai, wherein the treated water is also being used for the drinking purpose, but only after, mixing it with the lake water in some proportion. But that's how the whole reuse agenda is taken forward in these cities. But yes, I also want to highlight an example from Rajasthan, where mostly the reuse of treated water is, still concentrated only in industries. But those industries are a very good economic model or business model in terms of reuse of treated water. So we have multiple examples here. But yes, these are some of the noteworthy examples which I want to, share with you.
It's interesting. All the examples that you've used have, I mean, be it Bangalore, which was very recently known for, I mean, almost depleting the water, be it Rajasthan, even Chennai for that matter, and Gurgaon, I mean, वैसे ही बदनाम है for. So it's interesting that there are case studies which people do not know about.
Yeah.
Let me rope you in, Farad, at this point. Can you tell us a little bit about the issues and challenges that you face, I mean, that we face in mainstreaming reuse of treated water?
Okay, so thank you, Sukanya, for the question. So I think there are 4 or 5 attributes, which we can say are the bottlenecks for mainstreaming the reuse of treated wastewater. So first of all, the infrastructure and the treatment gaps. So in our study also we have mentioned that out of the total wastewater that is getting generated in the urban areas, only 28% is getting treated. So it means that 72% is untreated, and it goes into rivers, water bodies, or lands. And then adding up to this is that out of this 28% treated also, only 17% is complying to the standard and norms of pollution control boards. So this is the first thing. And if I will give you example, so suppose in Delhi we have 37 STPs. So out of this 37 STP, 21 are non-compliant as per the Delhi Pollution Control Committee.
Can you just tell for the people who do not understand STP what STP
So
is?
sewage treatment plants, it's a facility where the wastewater that is getting generated is collected and brought to a facility,
Okay.
that treatment plant. So that is known as sewage treatment plant.
All right.
Okay.
Fine.
And in case of Maharashtra, if you can see, out of 147 STPs,
Right.
treatment facilities, 80 are non-compliant
Wow.
to the State Pollution Control Board. So when we are talking about scaling up the reuse, so first we need to fix our infrastructure. We need to get our compliances in place so that the people or the end user can trust the quality of the water that they're going to reuse.
Right.
Right. The second is the policy and governance gaps. So out of the total states, 28, 29 states that we have, only 11 states have reuse policy.
Mm.
And even those policy, they are not backed by good action plan and implementation strategy. So in November 2022, the National Mission for Clean Ganga, they rolled out a national framework on safe reuse of treated wastewater. Okay, but the buy-in has not been that much on ground. And still the states are struggling or they're lacking a proper state level plan where they can mandate the reuse of treated wastewater. The second thing is economic and financial barriers. So when we're planning for reuse of treated wastewater, so of course it will need some maintenance of the treatment facilities, upgradation, or even creating new, so that whatever the amount of wastewater that is not getting tapped or collected, so they also have the facility to get treated. So this needs lots of cost. And sometimes the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, they are not very financially viable, urban local bodies. So there it can get hampered, the effectiveness can get hampered. And the last one is, and very important one, is the social and perception challenge. So still there are a lot of reluctance and a lot of hindrance in the mind of people, the end user, whether this water is safe or not. Because for them wastewater is wastewater.
Obviously.
We know that it is treated or untreated, but for them wastewater is wastewater. So to break that barrier of reluctance and to have that confidence, so the people can very confidently use this water, we need to have a proper campaign and awareness drive somewhere, so that people are more confident towards using this water. So these are some of the major bottlenecks or hindrances, you can say, which is prohibiting the mainstreaming of the use of treated wastewater.
So my final question for the day, Faraz, it's again to you. What are the recommendation in terms of policy and governance?
So, as ma'am said, that we have analyzed several case studies. So, whatever recommendation that we are suggesting is not generic. It's very much researched from the findings that we have found from the field, and from numbers of interaction we have from different stakeholders. So that's why these recommendations are kind of very strategic and very focused recommendations. So 4 or 5 key recommendations that is suggested in this book also, which I want to highlight, is integrated water management. So every city which is having a water management plan should incorporate wastewater as a core component. As of now, it is missing everywhere. Every state has a state water policy, and in that state water policy, you have one paragraph of wastewater, and that too very generic. So it needs to be, it has to be major component if you're talking about, scaling up this initiative of reuse of treated wastewater. The second is that when the state have policies, okay, so we need strategies at the micro level, not at the macro level. Okay, so one size fits all solution will not work here. Every city is different. They have their own geographic requirement. They have their own local relevance, own demand. So when we are planning this reuse initiative, it has to be very micro level. The strategies, the planning has to be at micro level, not at the macro level. Like state water policy has suggested, we need to do reuse in 1, 2, 3, 4. It may be different for other ULBs and cities. Okay, so that is the second thing. So sectoral priority, the prioritization of reuse of treated water, so that it can cater to demand, local relevance, and also equity and justice. Third is improved policy frameworks. So as I told you that only 11 states have state level policy for reuse. And In that also some state has developed just like 2016 or in 2017, which has no relevance in the current scenario. So these states who have these policies need to rework and
Update and
contextualize their policy as per the today's scenario. And the state which don't have, they of course need policy, but it's need to be backed and it need to be complemented by proper implementation strategy and an action plan. Second thing is we need a proper governance mechanism, so where we can monitor the impact or the progress that is happening on ground for the reuse, that it is actually rolling on ground, the thing that is written on paper or policy, it's actually rolling on ground. So that we need to ensure through proper governance mechanism. And very important, local treatment and local reuse. So we have found in our study that there are various STPs, large scale STPs, which are located in outskirts of the cities. And those outskirts area, they are deprived of a lot of demands for the treated wastewater. So in case of Lucknow, we have Bharwara STP, which is 345 million liter per day water is getting treated, but they don't have demand nearby to cater. So how will they reuse it? Okay. So we need to have decentralized STPs, small STPs in the cities, so that we can collect the water easily and we can treat it and we can locally reuse it. So we don't need to invest in high distance infrastructure. So the idea is to have a project which is less cost intensive and maximum outcome. So local treatment and local reuse still is the need of the hour. And the final vision is we need to have a proper financial model. So we need to get into research where we can find the most feasible financial model, whether it's PPP model or whether it is a hybrid annuity model. So whatever financial model is. So the idea is to, once we have this initiative on ground, it needs to be sustainable for long time. Okay, so it don't get end in like 1 or 2 years just because we don't have capital or we don't have proper investment or right channel of getting the investment. So proper financial model needs to be in place. So I think these are some of the recommendations that we can surely look into it if we want to scale up this reuse of treated wastewater in India and save our environment and especially the health of the rivers. So thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Any last words before we close? Once again, congratulations on the report.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I'm
you so
looking
much.
forward to go through it.
Yeah.
All right. You can download the report from our website. The report is called Waste to Earth. Thank you for watching. We'll be back soon with the next episode. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank